The Mangukaha Aotearoa biker gang today performed a haka lament for the dead Kiwi Muslims of Christchurch, an expression of the utmost respect for the departing spirits, a warrior's expression of grief and of the will to continue. Theirs was a message of strength. As the tributes pile up, relatives remain unable to bury the now 50 dead. Another body was discovered last night. Pathologists and coroners still working to confirm the identities of all those killed in the worst attack in New Zealand's modern history. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern again met members of New Zealand's 50,000-strong Muslim community, this time in a Wellington mosque. She's a champion of her country's renown as a refuge, its acclaim for compassion. Ardern is also convinced that tougher gun licensing laws will avert future mass murder.
We cannot be deterred from the work that we need to do on our gun laws in New Zealand. They need to change, regardless of what activity may or may not have happened with gun retailers. They will change.
Her may or may not have with gun retailers refers to reports today of panic buying of firearms in response to her vow yesterday to reform firearms laws. Sure enough, here, trade was brisk for a sleepy Sunday, 2 days after a massacre. Word has it, she's probably got military-style assault rifles, beloved here by hunters and farmers, and high-capacity magazines in her sights. Well, I've just been into the gun shop there, and believe me, it is big. There are 30 or 40 gun shoppers browsing and buying weapons in there right now. One man next to me was inquiring at the counter as to whether possible new restrictions might prevent him from buying modifications for his AR-15. Now, that is a military-style semi-automatic, which was one of the guns used by the Christchurch killer. It was a gun that was also used in the Sandy Hook and Vegas massacres in the United States. There are already 15,000 of these military-style assault rifles in the hands of ordinary New Zealanders. Just yesterday, the day after the killing spree, the defiant gun lobby Facebook group, Kiwi Gun Blog, posted that PM Jacinda may be the salesman of the year. Semi-automatic wielding cops had a high-profile presence today outside Christchurch's Linwood Islamic Centre, where 8 worshippers were fatally shot. One of those who died was Haji Daud Nabi. He'd emigrated from Afghanistan in the 80s and thought of New Zealand as a little slice of paradise. He was 71. Haji Daud and his son Omar had befriended Samuel, who'd moved here after a troubled youth on the North Island. It must have come as a bit of a shock, what happened last week.
It broke my heart because my life now, like, I've never been so happy, so joyful. I've never had the support that this family has given me, and but when I met, you know, and then watching around the world, and people are saying that Muslims are terrorists and that. When I met these guys, no way. I wouldn't believe it. I was like, no way. How can they be terrorists when I'm with Muslims? They show me more love and nurture. They've shown me more support than my own people would, my own family.
Do you know what the circumstances were of his being killed? Was he trying to help people?
Yeah, he actually, I was told that he actually covered someone else.
But he put himself between the gunman and them?
Between the gunman and... So he covered someone else, that's what I was told.
And saved their life?
Well, that's something that he would do. You know, he'll go out of his way to help others.
Vigils have been held the length of this country in moving acts of remembrance, ranging from this vast crowd in the capital, Wellington, to this lone and spontaneous haka tribute outside the Al Noor Mosque in Christchurch. It's been a sombre weekend for New Zealand. The papers concur what has happened has marked the loss of this country's innocence.
Well, New Zealand police say they're working to identify victims of the attacks as the stories of some of those who died and the survivors begin to emerge. Khaled Mustafa, who died at the Al-Noor Mosque, had fled from war-torn Syria with his wife and 3 children. His eldest son, Hamza, also died. Mr. Mustafa's younger son, Ziad, is still recovering in hospital. Ziad hasn't been told that his father and brother are dead. New Zealand Football Association confirmed the death of Atta Elian. The 33-year-old, who was born in Kuwait, was goalkeeper for the national team in the five-a-side game futsal. 52-year-old Adib Sami was shot in the back as he protected his 2 sons. All 3 survived the attack. Mr. Sami was only in Christchurch to celebrate his twin son's birthday. Zulfurman Sire instinctively shielded his 2.5-year-old son when the gunman opened fire at the Linwood Islamic Centre. He is in a stable condition following extensive surgery. People have already donated over £10,000 to a fundraising page for his family, who moved to Christchurch just 2 months ago. Well, Jonathan Miller is in Christchurch now. Jonathan.
Well, good evening, Kathy. Another reflection of just how distressed the people of this small nation of only 5 million people have been by what has happened here, has been the donation over the course of the weekend of more than 6.3 million New Zealand dollars. That's about 3.2 million pounds to the victims and their families. And the victims support group said that these online donations alone would be going directly to the victims' families and those affected directly by the attack last Friday. Now, one thing that's happened over the weekend is that there has been an upwelling of criticism here in New Zealand over the online streaming of the video that the attacker made on the Al-Noor Mosque. Now, Facebook has responded to this by saying that more than 1.5 million copies of that video were taken down in the first 24 hours alone, right across the world. That's the global content. 1.5 million removed, and they're saying that they're removing all content, not just the graphic stuff. Now, Jacinda Ardern, the New Zealand Prime Minister, was asked whether she wanted to talk to Facebook about live streaming in general, and she said there would be a conversation that she would want to have with them. Now, the Prime Minister is also very exercised about these, the reform of the gun laws, as I reported in the package. The online auction website TradeMe, which has selling guns online, has said that they are considering interim changes to their operations to restrict that sale of semi-automatic weapons and pump-action shotguns online. So we expect to see some changes there, and certainly the Prime Minister absolutely determined to see that through. You can see that Monday morning has already dawned here in New Zealand. It's a bit chilly, it's a grey sky, people are going back to work, schools are opening. It's a very, very different New Zealand to the one it was a week ago. Indeed. Jonathan Miller, thank you very much. Well, here, police say the stabbing of a 19-year-old in Surrey is being treated as terrorism-related. It happened in Stanwell last night. Our reporter Harry Smith is here. Harry, what have you been able to establish? Well, Kathy, as you said, it was around 10:30 last night that police were alerted. They were called to Stanwell in Surrey, as you said, more precisely to Viola Avenue, after reports of a man who was acting aggressively and shouting racist comments. He apparently was armed with a baseball bat and a knife. Now, several cars were damaged and a 19-year-old man was stabbed. He's still in hospital with what the police describe as non-life-threatening injuries. A 50-year-old man was arrested at the scene and he's still in police custody. Now, today we had a statement from Assistant Commissioner Neil Basso, who's head of counter-terrorism. He said that while this investigation is still in its infancy, it has the hallmarks of a terror event inspired by the far right, and therefore it has been declared a terrorism incident. His statement went on to say police are committed to tackling all forms of toxic extremist ideology which has the potential to threaten public safety and security.